Hey, what's up coin fam? In today's video, we'll talk about some rare and valuable 1943 steel pennies, how much they sold for, and why they sold for so much money. Let's get right into it. In 1943, the U.S. Mint produced pennies with zinc-coated steel rather than the normal copper pennies that were produced until 1983. This was done because copper was needed for ammunition during the war. You probably will never see a 1943 steel penny in circulation, but they're far from rare. You can buy them on eBay, coin shops, or even online in bulk. Let's take a look at some of the more valuable steelies and talk about why they're so valuable. Here's a nice looking 1943 Denver minted Lincoln cent. This penny is made out of steel. You won't find any scratches or wear on this coin. If you look closely, you can see doubling around the portrait of President Lincoln. Don't be fooled by eBay scammers though. This is machine doubling and it's a lot different than a real double die. I'll show you a double die 1943 penny shortly. So it's not a double die. Where does the value come from? This penny was graded Mint State 67 on a scale from 1 to 70, so the value is because it's fine AF. It also has a green CAC sticker that means it's considered to be one of the better coins in the Mint State 67 grade. This beautiful penny was sold at Heritage Auctions for $222. Here's a steel 1943 Lincoln wheat cent. This penny was minted at the San Francisco Mint, and it's a rare variety called a double die. A double die occurs during the creation of the die. When the hub is pressing the image into the die, it's shifted in between pressings. This caused some of the features to double. In fact, www.doubledie.com said this penny is at least a triple die, meaning that it shifted at least twice during the pressings. The pictures from Heritage Auctions don't do a good job at featuring this variety, so here are some pictures from doubledie.com. There's a lot of doubling on this coin. Some of the doubling is subtle and more obvious in other places. If your eyes are as bad as mine, you might want to buy a simple magnifier or a loupe to get a better view. A coin microscope can be handy if you look at a lot of coins. You can take a look at the links in the description below for some recommendations. This penny was submitted for grading and came back Mint State 67 plus, and the DDO variety was confirmed and identified as FS 101, which has been featured in the Cherry Picker's Guide. This penny sold at auction for $3,840. Who would have thought that someone would buy this jacked up 1943 Lincoln cent? This has to be one of the ugliest coins ever found. So why did this penny, that would never even be used to fill a hole in a coin album, sell for over $5,000 at auction? In 1942 and 1943, the U.S. Mint experimented with different metals to figure out what would be best for the temporary copper-free version for 1943. This penny was minted on an experimental planchet. You can learn more about the experimental planchets in Roger Burdett's book, United States Pattern and Experimental Pieces of World War II. This planchet is made of 86.4% tin, 8.4% antimony, 1.8% copper, and 1% vanadium. Its letter grade can be a little deceptive. It was graded extremely fine, as opposed to extremely fine. This 1943 Lincoln wheat cent on an experimental planchet sold at auction for $5,040. Here's an interesting 1943 Lincoln cent. This penny has a repunched mint mark. The small letter used to designate the mint that produced each penny used to be punched into the die by hand. If the punch was a little off, it would be moved a little and repunched. You can clearly see the initial punch a little down and to the left of the prominent punch. This variety on a highly graded coin can be very lucrative. You can see some marks on this coin from circulation, and there are some signs of wear, more so on the obverse or front of the penny. The reverse looks really good. Overall, this penny was graded Mint State 67, and it sold at auction for almost $15,000. Today, pennies are minted on a copper-coated zinc planchet. Prior to 1983, pennies were minted on a zinc-coated copper planchet, but they weren't supposed to be in 1943. This penny looks like an old, worn, normal penny until you look at the year. Copper pennies weren't supposed to be minted in 1943 because the copper was needed for the war. This penny is supposed to be minted on a zinc-coated steel planchet, and this coin is very rare and very valuable. If you find one of these, you may have just secured your retirement. But don't get ahead of yourself. There are counterfeits out there, and for some reason, some companies have decided it was a good idea to gold plate some 1943 Lincoln cents. Check the weight of the penny. A copper penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. A steel penny should weigh about 2.7 grams. Another way to check to see if your penny is steel is to see if it sticks to a magnet. A copper penny won't do this. This penny was submitted to PCGS for grading, and it came back a Mint State 62 brown. This rare 1943 Lincoln cent sold at auction for $372,000. If you enjoyed this video, share it on social media. It helps more than you can imagine. Thanks for watching.